Could you please tell me about your journey so far and what is the most important lesson that you learned after all of these years?
Well, I had a spinal cord injury when I was 16 years old. I'm 37 now, so it's been almost 21 years. And it's been quite a journey. I actually just wrote an article for a magazine called Closing the Gap, called How Confronting Disability and Recreational Assistive Technologies Can Spark Inner Transformation. And in a nutshell, that's kind of what, if I was to summarize kind of these last 21 years, that's really what it came down to. In the beginning, when you're freshly injured, you look at, how am I going to start walking again, or how am I going to regain as much function as possible? And I was blessed and lucky enough to be able to regain enough function to walk with a cane, as a walking quadriplegic. And it's a lifelong process to maintain those gains, to make sure you're keeping your muscles strong enough so they don't atrophy. But there was a lot of psychological turmoil that came with that, and emotional regrouping that needed to be done in order to it come to a place of acceptance with your new life, and to readjust and be able to thrive again. And I found that if I started measuring progress by trying to regain as much of what was lost, it would always feel like something was missing. So I had to kind of have like a paradigm shift about, instead of trying to regain what was lost, it was trying to find something new and develop, new skills, strengthen my character, fortitude, and all these different things that you might not be, forced to look at if you weren't in a situation that, had the pressures that like a spinal cord injury like that would have. So I always like to say that diamonds, they're forged in flames. So, pressure, either bursts pipes or, makes diamonds, right? So that was kind of the first, many years, is coming to terms with that, coming to a place of acceptance. Probably took me about a good decade to really get there. And then, as far as the bike and all the stuff I'm doing now, that really kind of, I got Corona to thank for that, because when everything was shut down and you couldn't do all your normal things and restaurants and movies and all that, the only thing that was really open was the outdoors. They never closed, right? So, my friend took me up north. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's really beautiful up north. And, the weather's nicer because the elevation's higher. There's trees, there's mountains, there's lakes. And I just kind of fell in love. And one day, before that day happened, I would go up there every weekend, either with friends, family, or a lot of times on my own, because I love the outdoors so much. And it was incredible. And I just kind of fell in love. And I'd like going really deep into the woods to get into the peace and quiet and just kind of be alone. It was really healing and tranquil for me, and all that. And one day I went a little too far by myself. I had a little Golf GTI that's a front wheel drive, has no business being in the woods at all. And I got stuck. And it started, it was like 4 p.m. when I got stuck. I'm honking for like 4 hours until my horn dies. I have no reception to call. I'm on a hunting road that, you might not see someone there for like, weeks, right? It's not a main trail or anything like that. And I got a pack of crackers and like a half a bottle of water. And at this point, you start thinking like, well, do I use this food to like hang out and hopefully someone finds me? But if I'm wrong, you don't have enough energy to try to make it out, whether you got to crawl out or walk out or whatever you got to try to do, and I walk, I'm a wheelchair user, right? So I use a wheelchair for more longer places, and, I could walk, but it's hard, right? And we're in the middle of the woods, which is very mountainous and, rocky and everything. So it was, and I'm about a mile away from any sort of main road. So at that point, I decided to get whatever rest I could, and find a way to start making it out in the morning. And I used my wheelchair as a walker. and I started to make my way out there, and it was, I had to go up this huge hill to begin with, and I didn't know if I was going to fall down or roll down or whatever. But once I started to make it up that, and I got about halfway, uh, I get to a point where I was like, man, I hope I actually, I don't want anyone to find me yet. I want to make this out myself, right? Because it started to become like a challenge and strengthening my faith in myself and God and confidence. And it was a big transformational event. I eventually made it out. It took me 6 hours to walk out. And I got to a main road, I called for help, found someone, used their phone. And at that point, you either get too scared to ever go out in the woods again, or you get better tools. And I decided to get better tools. And in my research, I came across, I got a Jeep, so I'd never get stuck again, of course, no more front wheel drive, small little cars. And I also discovered this adaptive mountain bike. It was called a lasher, and at that point I knew about road hand cycling, but I never knew about a bike that could take me into this wilderness that I love so much. And that just blew my mind. That changed the whole game for me. And once I got that bike, there's certain, I call them limit busting technologies. And even the hat that I have on right here has, my little logo on here for my bike, and it says bust limits. And that's kind of my slogan for, how I try to live my life. You see any challenges, you find a way to break through and do what you need to do to accomplish your goal. And in this bike, it started to, because of the access it gave me to the places I love to go and places I couldn't go before. I looked at it like a semi-cure. I could go hiking now. I could take my friends with me. I got an extra bike, an e-bike for people to go riding with me. So now I could have fellowship and friendship and travel and go to new places and new events and meet new people. And it started to build and build and build, right? I started making videos wanting to catalog trails suitable for adaptive riders, so that people, when they get these bikes, they're like, well, where do you ride, right? Do I need help? Can I get through this trail? Is it too narrow? Am I going to fall over, right? So I started to do videos and integrate it with an app called Trail Fork, so people would know where the trails are, where they could ride, what the videos look like, where the squeeze points were, and they could read up on the commentary. And I started out that way. And then in making these videos and creating this social media account from scratch, essentially, I've never done social media before February of this year. People started to reach out left and right saying, hey, that's super cool. Where's this trail? I want to come ride. And then from that, the adaptive bike club started. And, me and a couple guys started this club, and we started to gather people up in our state of Arizona to, be able to get them on bikes. But these bikes are expensive, right? So that's my cat in the background, by the way, Papa Sa. These bikes are expensive though. So, we had to find some nonprofit organizations to link up with that would be able to provide the bikes. So these are like $20,000 a piece. And so now I started the bike club. Now we had these organizations that we could get people riding with. And I'm actually working on a video right now of the last event we had. There's like 5 of us, and we're just shredding down the trails. And it's so amazing. And it's so freeing. And the smiles you see on people's faces, the impact it has on people, it's just game changing. And it's just snowballing. I met an OT on the trail, an occupational therapist, while I was riding one day, and she's like, hey, cool bike. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just a quad on a bike trying to live life to the fullest. That's how I came up with my Instagram handle, actually, because I'm just a quad on a bike, right? Trying to live it up. And then she's like, well, I'm an OT. You should come speak to some of my therapy students. So, now I'm starting to do more speaking, right? And trying to educate people about how confronting disability and these assistive technologies like these bikes can absolutely just change your life and spark this complete change inside yourself because of all of this unfolding that happens. And it's a combination of the enthusiasm you get, the access that you get, and the people that you meet that really complete that feeling that we have inside, that yearning to be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. In a nutshell, that's been the last 21 years, man. So
That was very cool adventure, actually.
Yes, it's been incredible. It's been incredible, and it's just getting started. Yeah.
So when do you think, you mentioned that you do speaking, educating people, when confronting disability or any big challenge in life, what is the most important thing, do you think?
Mindset. mindset is huge, right? Because there's a lot of things that we can't control in life. And the one thing that we can control is our perspective, how we view the world, our attitude. And that helps us make the choices that are going to be beneficial to our life and the lives of people around us. And there's a lot of things that go into that, right? It's easier said than done, right? Mindset is one thing, that's a simple thing, but it's very complicated how you get there. And it's a process, right? And that's the part of the confronting the disability, the acceptance, and the character building that is going to help shift that mindset to help you make the decisions needed to be able to have a fulfilling and meaningful life.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any specific practice, a specific activity that really helped you to have a right mindset and be mentally strong when facing a challenge?
Yeah, yeah. In the article that's going to be coming out here, I kind of outline a lot of this stuff of what that process looked like for me, and I call it like the pillars of the good life. And there's certain pillars that I found that were very foundational for the mental and emotional stability and spiritual stability that I need to maintain that mindset. And I have my bad days just like all of us, right? But what happens is these are like anchor points, right, that you could fall back on. And and the pillars for me have been my faith, having a faith in a higher power. I believe in God, and that's very foundational. That's a source of hope, that's a source of acceptance and life for me. Community is big, right? Friends and family, and having that network of support. So when you have those difficult days or you need help with something, you have great people around you. Having a passion, something that you love doing, something that gives you purpose and fulfillment and meaning. Biking for me, right? Or achievements, right? Whether it's in your job or hobbies that you might have, something that you could apply yourself on and look forward to. That's huge, right? And then health, right? Taking care of yourself, getting good sleep, eating right, making sure that you're as physically strong as you can be so that you can participate in all these amazing activities that give you joy. And that there's, is you minimize what you can, and all of our situations are different, of course, but you maximize what you can within your situation to be able to do as much as you can for yourself, to be able to participate in all these things. And then finances, right? Making sure that, I might have a physical disability, but, thank God my mind works, right? And so I could apply myself, and the disabilities allowed me to branch out into sales and learn about investing, to be able to have enough resources where if my insurance, and right now I don't have any insurance, right? So I have to cover these things on my own. I'm able to, spend the money on these recreational technologies or different, practical adaptive equipment that helps make life easier. So those are kind of the main pillars that are foundational. And then, obviously working upon yourself, right? Self-reflection, watchfulness, and then just a willingness to work on yourself as a human being. All of that lays the groundwork to be able to make those decisions and to have the mindset that helps you go through life in a more effective way as a human being, and make those decisions that you need to make and have that perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Very interesting. Wow. You mentioned in nature and you like going to the deep wood and in the middle of the
Yeah.
forest. Why do you think what this nature and all of this adventure teaches you?
You know, nature for me has always, in the beginning, like I said, when I was going out the woods initially, either with friends or on my own, it was the extreme peace that I would feel just being in the presence of, the trees, the mountains, the sun, the birds chirping. It's just a very soothing and calming environment that, you don't really even need to think about why you like it. Just being in that presence of that already puts you in a state of being that is desirable, that's peaceful, right? And it just draws you. It's like a magnet, right? And that's really what it was, right? Like there's certain things as human beings we're just compelled and we're drawn to it, right? Because it brings us life, it brings us peace. It's calming, it's soothing, right? Your thoughts get, start to calm down a little bit, right? Your whatever anxieties you have, my friend's a psychologist, and he speaks about what's called organic intelligence a lot, where you allow your body to essentially heal itself by allowing your attention to travel to things that draw that attention. So you might be in the woods and you might see, the colors of the trees, and your eyes focus in on that. And you're not even thinking about it. It just happens naturally, right? And then this process of, it's really connection, right? Where we're connecting with something outside of ourselves, in and of itself is healing and soothing. And it regulates the nervous system. And all of a sudden, a few weeks, a few months go by, your thoughts are, less stirring, right? In your head, your anxieties are a little more calmer, right? And you don't even know how this happens, but it happens because of the process of this organic intelligence, where you're connecting passively and naturally with your surroundings. And this process in and of itself is super healing, right? So that's really what started it for me, right? And then the biking is just a magnifier of all of this, right? Because it gives me so much more access.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think it's very helpful for many other people. For example, want to become, because when you have a disability, after the disability, you have some limitation and you think you cannot be active, healthy. But when you do adventures, you try to be active, actually really will help you in the long run to be a better person and face with challenges more easier and become a better person after challenges. That's the goal. So Phil, if you could change one thing in disability community, what would you change?
Man, in regards to my domain that I've been talking about with adaptive mountain biking, it's really the cost and the access, right? There's throughout my adventures, I've met a lot of really interesting people in a very short amount of time. And I've met some engineers and people that have been designing these bikes themselves. And, I've had conversations with them about what it would look like to, make these bikes more affordable, right? Because $20,000 is a lot of money. And it's very, what I'm talking about, and a lot of people will think, the first place their mind's going to go is, this is amazing, I'd love to do it, but I can't afford it, right? That's the first thing where people's minds go. And so a lot of what I'm doing right now with the bike club and linking up with the nonprofit organizations, that's the start. That's the easiest way to do it, because I could meet someone and say, hey, let's ride tomorrow. And we could ride tomorrow and get them on one of these $20,000 bikes, right? So that's the easiest way. But ultimately, my vision for this is to lower the long-term cost somehow, whether it's through partnering with companies, making the bikes themselves, or whatever it is, to lower the cost, to increase the access for people to be able to get these bikes. I think we could get it down within the $10,000 to $12,000 range, which is still incredibly expensive, but $10,000 less than what they are right now, right? I think that's realistic, right? And so whatever that looks like, whether it's manufacturing or some other form, that would be probably the biggest thing, right? Because any sort of medical equipment, just when you just put the title medical equipment on something, the cost by itself is already like 1,000% more than every other technology out there, just by virtue of it being medical equipment. And that's because it's niche, it's not scalable in the same way as a lot of mainstream stuff is, right? So it's understandable. The market is different. But my background in investing and sales, hopefully I could use that to help somehow increase access for the community. But that's probably the biggest thing, I would say.
Oh, okay. So increasing accessibility by making things affordable, making the tools affordable.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting. So I have a question for you, that how do you keep yourself proactive, not passive?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think in life, it's cyclical, right? There's, when we have a lot of motivation and drive and passion, I think that's when it's easiest to become proactive, because we have that fuel in our tank, it's full, right? And so that acts as a catalyst to, continue to schedule these trips, right? And I always have something to look forward to, and that helps fuel the enthusiasm more, right? Because now I have this trip to California, and then next month I'm going to be going to Colorado for the hand cycle championships, right? And then after that, I'm driving across the country to Bentonville, Arkansas to ride with friends in another mini lasher event over there, and then in Texas along the way. And there's going to be another race in California in August as well. And so there's a lot of different things. I actually got invited to a race in France as well in September. So I don't know if you ever saw that movie with Jim Carrey called Yes Man, where he's going through a little challenging type in his. Have you seen that movie? You ever see it?
No, but I heard about it.
It's a good one. So
Mm.
if you ever get a chance, check it out, because it's a guy that's kind of going through what you're saying, like like the proactivity of life is kind of like dulled away. He's kind of down, and he doesn't know what to do, and he goes to this seminar, and then it's basically about saying yes to things in life, right? Within reason. Obviously, if someone offers you drugs, say no, but within reason, right? So opportunities, people you meet, even if you might not be in the mood to do something, say yes to more things, right? Because you'll never know when you go to this event what person you meet or what door opens up, right? And all of these things, right? This goes back into perspective and mindset, help keep things proactive, because I think the fuel to be proactive and to get out there and get ahead of yourself is the enthusiasm and the passion for the things you love in life. So anything that can help fuel that and refill your tank will help aid that process, right? So I'm always looking to stay on that, right? And to be in that mindset.
Find the thing you love and which give you energy and the fuel, and just doing it. Keep doing it to give you the.
Keep doing it. Keep saying yes to opportunities, right? To open up things, to be able to keep refilling that tank of enthusiasm, and that will help you keep being proactive and setting up more opportunities. Saying yes to more events, going out and doing more things. Because I think in the end, it's enthusiasm is the fuel for being proactive. So
You
find a
need
way
to
to.
say yes to that Paris tournament.
Exactly. Say yes. Say yes.
So you mentioned that community is very important. People around you is very important. So
Huge.
what is your suggestion or advice for people who look for to find the right community?
Yeah. Obviously, again, it starts with what you love, right? Finding like-minded people that, could coalesce around, a passion, whatever that might be. And, so that's, I think, where it starts. And then, whatever that passion is, I mean, we live in a world right now where there's so much opportunity, through social media, through different organizations, meetup groups and everything, to find like-minded people, right? There's a lot of hand cycling groups on Facebook. There's, different social media outlets that allow you to connect around whatever that passion is. So that's huge, right? Using the resources around you, finding like-minded people. And then as you start to do this, so many doors will open up, right? All the things that I mentioned that I'm doing this year and have done have come from just meeting people and people saying, hey, there's this event over here, sign up for this, go do this, right? So it starts to snowball, right? Just like anything. And so really that's what it is, right? Find that passion, use the resources out there, whether it's Facebook, social media, go out there in the community, start meeting people, and more doors will keep opening up, and it'll just snowball from there.
I think the best approach to building relationship and finding a supportive community is being proactive again. It's very important.
Exactly. Yep. They're not going to find you, right? You got to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, Phil, if you wanted to just give one advice to people with disability or people in general, what that advice would be?
You know, once you get to a place of acceptance, right? Once you've confronted disability, and dealt with that part. Obviously, in the beginning, our focus is on how we can make our life as easier as possible. Whether that's through, a freshly injured person that acquired a disability, and focusing on how to maximize their situation physically, or someone that was born with a disability. Finding a way, once you alleviate, it's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but once you take care of your basic needs and you're at a place where you can comfortably start to, say, okay, I, have done what I can physically to be able to make my life as easy as possible. And then you start to confront the internal parts of acceptance around the disability, and you've confronted the disability, and gotten to a place of acceptance. Now you can start to build on that foundation. And there's a whole world, right? Life doesn't end just because we've either acquired a disability or been born this way. There's the world right now is so primed with all the adaptive equipment and technology and organizations and support and the ADA laws. I'm in the United States, so I'm blessed to be able to live here. I know not every country has the same accommodations. I just got back from Mexico City, and it's certainly nothing like the US, right? But, with a lot of what's out there and the resources, there's so much we could do, right? So life doesn't end, and there's so much we could do, and there's so many people we could help, right? So it's not over, and there's a whole world that we could do as, essentially like activists in a lot of ways, right? If you want to take it that way, or if you just want to live your life to the fullest, right? And you don't want to do any activism or any of that. There's just so many resources out there, right? So what I would say is, once you confront that aspect and come to acceptance, there's a whole world out there, and there's so many resources out there to be able to do so much and live a fruitful, meaningful, joyful, and happy life. And then ultimately be able to help other people, because when I've helped other people, your problems somehow seem a little bit less, right? So don't forget to help others, because in the end it's synergy, right? You help someone else, you feel better about that. You become a better person, and then your problems start to shrink a little bit, right? So go out there, find what you love, and live life to the fullest.
Awesome. That was very interesting. I learned a lot. Thank you for this conversation, Phil. And yeah, thank you for time and attention. That was one of my best conversation, and I really enjoyed it. So before letting you go, do I have this permission to use this interview in our social media, in Maslow for People social media? You will be tagged, mention your name, your page. So don't worry about that.
Absolutely, man. Anything I could do to help.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was a great conversation. That was a pleasure to meet you, Phil. So that's it, I guess. Thank you for your
Perfect.
time.
Absolutely, Ali. No, I appreciate it, man. And thank you for everything. And tell me a little bit. I watched some videos, well, on your Instagram page about what you guys do, and it sounds like the core of it is helping integrate, people's rehab and caretaking programs at home to make it a little bit more efficient for them to do what they do, right, on a daily basis. So tell me a little bit more about Maslow as well.
So we are a team of, for example, a support worker, because you're in Australia and in UK, Germany, many other countries, you have a support team. For example, people come into the house every week, or there are 5 or 6 people that come into the house every week and help you with your daily routine, your daily task, from cooking, from hoist, from anything. So we are a team of support worker, therapists, and people with a disability, living with a disability. And our friends find it very hard to transfer from hospital to the home, because in the home you don't have the nurses, you don't have many support that you have in the hospital. And also it's very challenging to manage all of that. For example, manage your support workers, manage the recommendation exercises and plans from therapies, and also communicate it with your family members or your support worker, because now people are using printouts, notepads, spreadsheet, and it's very hard to track progress and all of that. So we are here helping people to streamline the care and rehab, the communication with the different part of their care and rehab. For example, therapies to the support worker, family caregivers, family members, and yourself. So you can easily communicate with everyone.
Absolutely, and I love the idea, man. I saw one of the videos of one of the patients and how everything worked, and it was very impressive. And I think it's a great idea. Is this just in the UK and Australia, or do you have anything in the United States?
We are actually just in Australia, but we are now expanding to New Zealand, and then we are going to maybe UK and USA and Germany, all of that.
Awesome. Do you provide the support workers yourself, or just the technology, and then the patients would hire their own support workers?
So for now, we're just doing the communication streamline,
Mhm.
but that's also could be a plan for the future. But now just streamlining communication, keep everything organized, help me our community to keep things organized, keep making progress toward your goal. Because when you see your goal, when you see your progress, you're more motivated to start making progress toward your goals and be more proactive. That's what.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that
yeah.
was very important to us to
I,
make.
I love I love it. How long ago did you guys start this?
We are started 2.5 years ago, around 2.5 years ago in Australia. We are a small team, 4 people. We are building this, and we're getting a lot of good responses because I think the disability community need to be more proactive, need to point out to the problem, take action to solve it, and also because when you help others, you will be better yourself, you will be better off yourself. So
Exactly.
that's what we are doing.
It's very cool, man. I totally support it. I love what you're doing, and wish you the best. And
Thank
anything
you
I
so
could
much.
do to help, let me know. And the message when you sent me on Instagram, that's the way we could communicate, me and you, right?
Yeah, yeah. And also, I will follow you with my personal Instagram page right now, and we can connect. I really
Perfect.
like your bike and your adventures.
Yeah, man, it's so cool, man. It's changed my life, man. So, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We'll stay in touch, and
Sure.
yeah, I look forward to seeing, once you tag me and everything, I'm sure I'll know when it pops up. But I look forward to seeing the interview on here, and anything I
Sure.
could do to help in the future. Don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, that was great conversation, and I really enjoyed it. And I wish you all the best with your adventures, and keep rocking, mate.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye
All
bye.
right, man. See you later. Have a good
See you
one.
later.